Hello, good evening, everyone, and thank you all so much for joining in on the behalf of Black Small Business Association of California. I'm Nikisha Henry. I'm going to be the moderator tonight for this evening's discussion. So, there's a lot going on with the COVID-19. Everyone is affected, we all know, but we are strictly focusing on small Black businesses here in California and, of course, our hometown, Sacramento and surrounding areas. So tonight, it's all about a conversation, a community conversation, the COVID-19 and the Black beauty industry. What was, what is, and what is to come. So we have an awesome panel that will be joining us tonight that is on with us right now. And we're going to kind of go through and just start off with some introductions. So first up, we have Stephanie Hunter Ray, who is the owner of Exquisite You Beauty, not booty, beauty boutique. Stephanie, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey guys, I'm Stephanie Hunter Ray. I am the owner of Exquisite You Beauty Boutique right here in Sacramento. We have been in business about, 13 years. And yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Stephanie. We know you're going to have a lot to add to tonight's conversation. Next up, we have Shari Wilson. She is the owner of Dream Girls Hair Salon, as well as Mixed Institute of Cosmetology and Barbering. Shari.
You just introduced me. My name is Shari, and I own Dream Girls Fine Hair Imports and Salon in Los Angeles and in Sacramento, and also the co-owner of Mixed Institute of Cosmetology.
Okay, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a hairstylist. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an activist. I work with Nikisha a lot on different issues we're having in our city, and that's it. That's about it.
Yeah, awesome. And if we can get Stephanie back on, because I want to have her share a couple of words also about herself. So Stephanie, share a few words.
Guys, what can I say? I'm just me. I'm a hairstylist. I'm a makeup artist. I'm an owner, a mother. So what else did you want to know? I mean,
and a TikTok expert. A TikTok expert. Yeah. There you go.
So yes, I've dabbled a little bit of everything as far as, behind the scenes, education, platform artistry, TV, film, models. So I'm pretty well rounded in the beauty industry. Right now, I'm getting more into educating our stylists on generational wealth, taking care of yourself, and learning and running your business. Running our salon, because a lot of people call African American businesses shops. That has a bad name. So trying to help to teach them to turn them into salons, a little bit more respect in the industry.
Okay. Well, thank you. And I know we're going to talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. Next, I want to bring on Kevin McLean. He is the owner of Skills Barbershop.
Hey, how you doing, Keith?
Hey.
All right, yep. Well, I'm Kev. I've been a barber for 24 years professionally. I own Skills Barbershop. I also have a beauty supply store on wheels. So I deliver beauty supplies to different barbershops, clippers, and things like that. And I've been a barber all my life. I just help people every day with the knowledge and wisdom, try to guide them to direct them the right way. And I'm about generational wealth as well and knowledge. So I heard the previous guest say that, and I like that. But that's what I'm about. I'm just about a barber and helping people advance to the next level.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kevin. Can't wait to hear from you a little bit later. And then next up, we have Raymond Kemp with Ray Kemp Designs. Go ahead.
Hello. Hi, my name is Raymond Kemp, and I am the owner and chief application engineer for Kemp Design Systems. I am also a 20-year. I've had my cosmetology license for 20 years. Graduated from Federico's, and then I'm also a 20-year employee of Sacramento County. But my focus has been on small black business and the love and support of small black business, because you know, it's important for us to get better at supporting, you know, not only just liking the idea of black business, but actually loving to support black business. So I'm happy again for the Black Small Business Association for having me on with such an esteemed group, and I'm ready to have fun. Let's do it.
All right, Ray. Well, we definitely gonna have some fun, that's for sure. We're gonna kick it a little knowledge and have a little fun as well. So thank you so much. All right, and our next guest is Donald Williams, ESQ attorney at law. So Donald, please go ahead and share a little bit, brief introduction about your practice.
Good evening. My name is Donald Williams. I'm an attorney in the state of California. My practice area is labor and employment. And what that means is I basically represent businesses of all sizes, national businesses as well as small businesses. I provide advice and counsel, and if needed, I also represent the clients in litigation.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Donald, and thank you for bringing your expertise tonight.
No problem.
And last but certainly not least, we have Kay Powell, the owner of Speedy Tax Advantage and financial advisor. Welcome, Pastor Kay.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you. So I'm Kay Powell, and I'm the owner of Speedy Tax Services. I have an office in Elk Grove and an office in Plumas Lake. I've been doing taxes since my business has been since 1985, and I've been doing taxes since 1971 when I was like 1 year old. No.
Wow.
Anyway, yeah, I know you guys weren't even thought of, but you know, I was 1 year old, you know. But I worked for the state of California for 34 years. I was the HR director for Santa Clara Valley Water District, and also at California Department of Corrections. Let's see, what else can I tell you? I'm a financial advisor, and I'm a senior pastor, and I believe in supporting small businesses, and that's very important in my heart.
Awesome. Well, amazing. And thank you so much for all that you're doing for small Black businesses, because I follow you and you definitely kick a lot of knowledge. So we definitely look forward to that tonight.
All right.
So those are all of our introductions. Everyone that is tuning in, if you're just now joining us, again, we want to welcome you to the community conversation, COVID-19 and the Black beauty industry. What is, what was, and what is to come. So we're basically just going to go ahead and bring all of our panelists on right now. And we're just going to get started with the conversation, because it's no secret that COVID-19 has impacted all of us personally, professionally. And so one of the industries that I think, you know, gets overlooked in all of this is the beauty industry, the beauty and barbering industry. And, you know, there's a lot of back and forth on who is essential and who is not essential. And, you know, honestly, I think it's all subjective, because if it was up to me, I would tell you my stylist is essential. My son's barber is essential, you know. So it's just all about having the conversation tonight, and, you know, how we will all as a community support you and your business, and how other barbers and stylists can move forward in this. So let's kind of get started. Governor Newsom, he shut down, obviously, all non-essential businesses in places where more than 10 people at a time would gather. And so simultaneously, the federal government allotted more than $350 billion in funding for small business loans, grants, and forgivable loans. So we already know that, according to the governor, barbers and hairstylists are not essential. So let's kind of chime in on that and let's talk about how this, first of all, has impacted your business. So Kevin, let's start with you.
Yeah. Okay, so how has it affected my businesses? I had 8 employees that work for me, and without the crowd being able to come in with the media, keeping the crowd at home, it has cost them financially. So they went from 20 people a day to maybe 5 people a day. So, I mean, it's like a drastic loss financially. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I've been a barber all my life. I was trained in sanitation. So when I got my license, I learned about being sanitized, and I learned about the health and skin care and things like that for customers that come in. So I feel my safety precautions and the way that I move is essential to the essential workers of America, because the essential workers of America still need barbers and hairstylists to keep them groomed and looking right in front of cameras. And when they're in meetings or whatever they're doing, virtual meetings, whatever, they still want to look nice and they still want to look good.
Right.
And I also feel that a barber is more, he helps your character. He helps you relieve certain things about yourself, almost like a counselor. So people need that interaction with their barber and their hairstylist, because it keeps them growing mentally. So
Right.
that's another thing that's being affected by the shutdown, is the communication and the awareness that barbershops and beauty salons bring to the community. We bring a lot of information. We bring a lot of caring. We bring a lot of knowledge to the communities, and it's like a hub. And from what I'm seeing, that's the part that's missing a lot, besides the
Yeah.
financial parts.
Right. Okay. So, and you bring up an interesting point. So, not only obviously the services themselves, getting your hair cut, getting your hair done and styled and colored and whatnot, but also the connection to your clients and them being able to see them once a week and being able to counsel. So that's a very good point that you bring up. Thank you for that. So let's move on to Shari. How has COVID-19 impacted your business?
Same. I had to shut down. You know, we shut down our salon. So I actually had 3 employees and 4 hairstylists that was renting booths for me. And, you know, we had to close our doors in Los Angeles and in Sacramento. I tried to keep paying my assistants for a few weeks, but, you know, I only could do so much until I had to, you know, tell them to file for unemployment and the other grants that Pastor K was telling me about. But other than that, I mean, my income went from whatever it was to 0, you know, and it's a hit. It's a hit, especially for those hairstylists that wasn't prepared. It's a hit for those hairstylists that didn't have a savings or didn't have a second stream of income, you know, and the money that they're saying they have for us. A lot of them did not get anything, you know, so. I mean, they can't feed their kids. They can't pay their rent. They can't pay their bills. They can't do anything. So, you know, my heart goes out for those who really wasn't prepared for this.
Well, I think it's, and you mentioned you had 2 shops that you had to just close down and not just one. And so I also, too, you know, with all of the employees, how does that work as far as, you know, actually, we'll get to this question. Well, let me kind of get through everyone as far as the impact, and then we'll go on to the next part. Ray, if you can chime in and let us know how this has impacted your business as a barber.
Yeah, so I rent a booth from Roger and Dietrich over at Kings and Queens. And let me shout out Shari Wilson and Stephanie and Tavia, because they actually got ahead of this conversation about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I had an opportunity to sit and watch them have this very, very intelligent roundtable about this business. So shout out those 3 powerful women. But one of the things that has impacted my business is I have some professionals who actually have to keep themselves groomed for their jobs. So it even though with trying to protect myself, it caused me to take my business underground and go to their homes or do certain things just to keep these people, you know, ready, because some of them are physicians. Most of them are correctional officers. And the thing is it caused me to move my business, which I don't like to do. If, you know, I like to keep my clients coming to the shop because it's the most sanitary place for them to be. But the other thing is there are individuals around me who don't have the other incomes that I have, and I see the impact on their families and their kids, and then ultimately it changes the dynamic of some of these individuals where you can tell they're depressed, but they're not talking about it, so that it brings in a mental health aspect. So for me, it's been a blessing and a curse because it allows me to take inventory of the things that I thought I was doing right and the things that I know I was doing wrong. And things like this really expose you when you're not prepared for it. So it has been an impact on my business, but I was grateful that I prepared for it. But I hate to see the impact of my coworkers and a lot of my friends who are in the industry, you know, having to lay people off and make a decision whether it's pay rent or, you know, this, that, and the third. So it's been an impact. And, you know, like my brother said, you know, the beauty salon has always been the black man and black woman social club. So that's that sense of connection and getting information has been cut off. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think, and you're absolutely right, Ray, and definitely, you know, chiming in with everyone else so far who has spoken about that. It is, you know, even when I go to get my hair done, thank God I'm crocheted up right now through this quarantine time that we're having. But, you know, it's a time where you can just go and, you know, relax and just chat with your stylist, chat with your barber, talk about what's going on, talk about, you know, family members who may have passed away and just coming together. So it's the connection, and nothing can really replace that, you know, no FaceTime, nothing like that can really replace that connection. So you're very right in that. And last but certainly not least, as far as impact on the beauty industry, Stephanie, how has this, because you also have employees yourself, how has this impacted your business?
Just like Shar said, you know, we had to. I have 9 girls that work for me. You know, I have an assistant, a receptionist, booth renters, and they're all single mothers. So this is their own income. This is how they feed their families. This is how they, you know, take care of themselves. And this is stripped away. You know, with everybody up in the uproar, a lot of them, they're not able to go to people's homes or have people come to their homes. So it really takes a toll, because not only are they my employees, but these are girls that have been with me for like 10 years, you know, and just to see them have everything stripped away. You know, we have one girl who's new. She invested all her money into starting her business, and not even a year or two, and it's gone. She has
Wow. Yeah.
Not just financially, but mentally. Like Ray was saying, like everybody said, mentally, the salons, you know, sometimes that's the only family people have, and they need that. You know, now that we're closed, there's nothing. And if somebody's already not feeling good about themselves, you know, there's nothing. I'm gonna say nothing like having somebody come to your salon, sit in your chair, their life. They tell you this is life changing. I needed this. Now, without us, they could have nothing. So it's just it's sad.
Yeah.
Not financially, but mentally.
Right. And like you guys have all also said, people are still working. So while we still have essential workers, they still have to keep themselves groomed and everything else. So it has definitely been a devastating time, you know, for the beauty and barbering industry. And so with that, I want to kind of talk about, and this will be your expertise, Pastor K, but I want to talk about the PPP, the Payroll Protection Plan, because obviously on our last conversation last week, you know, you were advising that money was going to run out. And it has. Before we hadn't even reached a week yet before it ran out. And this is just a yes or no question to you, barbers and stylists. Were any of you able to take advantage of the PPP or the employee protection loans? Anybody?
No.
Anybody able? No.
Nope.
Okay.
Not the loans, no.
Okay. So can you
Okay,
tell
so
us
wait a
what-
minute.
Okay, so can you
Okay, so
tell us
wait a
what-
minute. Not there were some that got advances on the EIDL,
Grants.
right? Yeah, the
the
EIDL, the
EIDL
first.
grant.
Yes,
Right.
right.
Okay. So can you talk about those briefly, just the PPP and the EIDL, and if there's still money available?
Well, today the Senate amended the PPP and the EIDL, and they put another $480 billion. So anybody that has paperwork at their bank or whatever, they should start seeing some funding. Although they're saying this funding is going to run out quick too. But there was $310 billion that today, I think the president's going to be signing it, but it's already been passed through the House and through the Senate, and it's on the president's desk. So there's $310 billion going into the PPP, and that's the Paycheck Protection Plan and program, and that you can do at your bank. So I do know some people that have gotten it, and in fact, although I have to admit, I know some barbers that are beauticians that have gotten the EIDL. I don't know any of them that got the PPP, but I do know one of my clients got $1 million.
You said someone.
One of my clients got $1 million.
Oh wow!
A couple days ago, and then I actually got mine too. So I got approved. Yeah, I know. It's like I'm helping everybody else with it. Woo woo! So
yeah, for those for those who are tuned in and who may not understand the difference
I can
between
explain
them
it.
both, can you explain the difference between?
So the Paycheck Protection Program is an SBA. That's the Small Business Administration. It's for small businesses, and what it is it's money to help sustain small businesses during this time. It's really a great program if you're able to get it. I know there's a lot of flaws, a lot of things that are happening that we don't appreciate because there's no regulation. There's no, as far as making sure that those that need it get it versus those, or even proportionally making sure that the Black businesses get it. That's probably the part that's really the most discouraging about it. But the part about it that's great is that if from the day you get the loan, if you get it and you use it towards rent, and you use it towards payroll, utilities, debt, within 2 months, then that loan is a forgivable loan. And that means all of it. If you use all the money, it's a forgivable loan. So you have to really be careful because you want to make sure, for instance, if you get the EIDL, which is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, and you get the PPP, you cannot double dip. So you need to think big picture. You can't pay the same things. So one of the things I'm thinking is that I would recommend, if you got the EIDL, pay that for back pay. Pay that for back pay. And people keep saying, I didn't apply because I don't have any employees. You're an employee. So you can apply for yourself. You're an employee. But pay that for back pay. And then the PPP, you can make up back pay and current pay. You can use retention. You can be real creative, but you have to, 75% of that money has to be paid to employees. And you have to have proof. You need cancel checks or something. You can't just say, well, I paid them. You have to have proof. So what I say is allocate that money in a special place to make absolutely sure that you don't commingle with other funds. And then you need to do checks on this one. You can't cash app, can't cash. You need to have like a trail, a paper trail to show the bank that money was used for my employees. 75% of that money has to be used for employees. And then the other part of it can be used for utilities or whatever. So this is what I've been finding out. Some people have been approved for the EIDL loan, but they've been telling them you got to pay it back in 30 years and here's a 3% interest or whatever. So you need to decide if you want to do that. If I were you, I would just say, hey, I'll take the advance. If you get the PPP, take the advance, and that's a grant. Keep that part, and then the rest of it, you get the PPP if you get that. If you really need it, then you got the loan too.
Okay. And so they would just go to whoever they're banking with right now, whether that be Wells Fargo, Chase, although there was some negative press recently about some of these bigger banks who were shuffling some applications and leaving a lot of the small Black businesses out because the dollar amount wasn't as great, which means it would have been less money and less interest for the banks collecting on the back end. So do we know if the federal government has put anything in place to keep that from happening this time around?
I looked and I couldn't find any regulations. I couldn't find any guidelines that would, keep them, although they're talking to them about it and they're making calls, but I didn't see it in the bill, in the amendment. All they did was amend it and added the figures in there. So they didn't add anything as far as this is how it should be done, except for the fact that they included credit unions, which weren't in there before. Some of the credit unions, they did that. They put some extra stuff with that. But as far as making sure that the banks don't, play games with what they're doing, that wasn't done. I think the reason why I got it is because I've been a long time business partner with my bank, and I had a business account set up with my bank, and I've been doing business with them. And so I think I think that's why I got it. And that's what's happening with a lot of people, is that there's a lot of them that don't have business accounts. And so now they're trying to establish themselves. And the banks are really trying to go with people that are already established. And so that's been, as a financial advisor and as a tax person, I keep telling my clients, set up a business account, do your paperwork through your business account, because that establishes you. Because a business and personal, there's a different FICO score for business people than it is for personal. So what you want to do is get yourself established, not only as being in the community, but financially established in the world as far as how things are handled.
Right. And so is having a business account a requirement of the federal government or the banks in order to even apply for these loans?
It was, but then they did change that and said if you have a personal account, because they recognized that was leaving out a lot of people, especially self-employed. If you have a personal account, they are allowing you to apply.
Okay. So basically the bottom line is, for everyone that may be tuned in right now, including, everyone that's on our panel, the money is going to run out again. So you
quickly
have to move ASAP as of yesterday. Go to your bank and apply, because the funding is there. And I think now the bigger banks are going to be more cautious because there was negative press the first time around. So although the federal government hasn't put any additional stipulations in place, I think they're going to tread real carefully this time around as far as some of the bias practices that they may have been doing before.
Yes.
Okay, so I know we had a couple of comments, a couple of our viewers. Plachette Robertson had asked, the client that received the $1 million that they applied for, were they African American? No.
I would say the owner, no. They have African American employees, but the owner, no. Yes.
Okay. And so one of our viewers also, John Langham, had a question about, how do we get to the solution as far as getting everyone in the beauty industry back to work? So I think that's going to transition us actually into our next topic. I do want to bring on Attorney Donald Williams, because there was legislation that was passed, the AB 5, that basically affects stylists and barbers as far as independent contractors and having to make them actual employees and paying taxes to the state. Can you kind of share a little bit of information on that and how it can potentially affect the beauty industry?
Sure. So AB 5 was passed to basically expand the definition of an employee, and as it relates to independent contractors. So what we're really talking about are gig workers, or the gig economy. This goes on to include, the entertainment industries with actors, models, actresses, Uber drivers, Lyft drivers, basically those type of industries, even the trucking industry, as well as the beauty industry. So, there are, and I don't want to get too heavily into the law, but, there's an test which is going to be applied to determine whether or not this worker is an independent contractor. And so essentially, you'll be looked at as an employee unless you can meet these requirements under the test. Now, the ABC test will apply to you if, you're exempt and or you meet some other requirements under the AB5. And so the first thing I want to say is, don't, you can try to read this act if you want and, try to get an understanding of it. As a matter of fact, I advise that you at least try to read it. But you definitely want to speak to an attorney as a business owner. It is worth the money, because having violations, under this law, whether it's labor code violations or any other violations, it can lead to you spending more money. So one, get an attorney. The thing that you want to do is basically, you need to assess your risk and, figure out, okay, well, how can I protect myself from this law? Now, fortunately, barbers, cosmetologists, manicurists, electrologists, and there are a couple others that are exempt under AB5, but that doesn't mean this law just does not completely apply to you. You are still required to prove that your employees or workers are independent contractors, but it's a different test. And I can go into that test in a little bit, but there are still requirements. They're just not the ABC test necessarily. And so with that, the first thing that I would advise business owners to do in the beauty industry is put everything in writing. That's the first thing. If you have, workers, if they're paying rent, booth rent or whatever they're doing in your shop, you want to make sure that you have an agreement with them in writing. And if that person has their own business, as a barber, as a stylist, as a manicurist, or whatever it is that they do, it looks a lot better to have a business-to-business agreement than it does to have, something that looks closer to an employee agreement. And a lawyer can through that, can help you with that process, and can do it with all of the workers in your shop or salon. So that's the first thing. Going into the details of the test, some things that would help separate, basically create an arm's length between your business as well as that worker that you're trying to show is an independent contractor. One, that worker has to have a separate location from your business. So, if your business is at, 400 Capitol Mall, whatever, then that worker that's doing business in your shop should also have a separate location, whether it's their home or some other location that, can be identified as their business. Also, that worker needs to maintain their own business license, separate from, their professional license or permits, whatever they have. So, you may need a license to be a barber or a cosmetologist or a manicurist. Well, to have a business, you also need a business license, which is in addition to your professional license. And so you should also have that, which is separate from your business license as a business owner. So for Skills Barbershop, his barbers should have their own business license for their business. Also,
so if they have, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So if the barbers and stylists have a business-to-business agreement, and every stylist or barber within their shop has their own license, then this protects them from the AB5 as far as having to turn those barbers and stylists into employees to where they're paying the additional California state taxes. Is that what I'm hearing?
This would help to protect them. Now, I can't guarantee that somebody won't sue you. People can sue for anything.
Right.
But, putting these things in place and having it in writing, if for whatever reason you were to get sued, a court would see this and say, okay, well, it's clear from this agreement that these two businesses have that, this independent contractor, and, it'll be listed out or written out in the contract what services he's supposed to do, that, he is free from control, the employer doesn't have control over the outcome or results of the work that's being done. That worker has control over setting their own hours, setting their own rates. They have their own separate location. They have their own business license, and all of this should be written out in an agreement.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So with that being said, as far as and any one of you can chime in, Shari, Kevin, Ray, Stephanie, right? So right now during this pandemic, obviously the shops are closed down. Are any of your stylists or barbers still required to pay booth rent during this time that everyone is shut down? How does that work for each one of you?
Well, I can speak for myself. I told my stylist they didn't have to pay booth rent, and actually we closed on a Wednesday, and I gave them back their booth rent for that week.
Wow.
But listen, my landlord, it's a possibility that she could have still wanted her rent.
Right.
So
right.
Thank God my landlord was good. She told me, let's figure this out later. So she's not bothering me. But I know a lot of other salon owners who landlords like my sister in LA, my LA salon. They still want their rent.
Wow. Wow. Kevin? Oh, wait, he's muted. Kevin?
Yes.
Okay, we can hear you now. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I don't. With the shop being closed, I wouldn't charge a booth rent. I wouldn't expect that from any barber. I'd rather them survive with what they already have.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to take nothing out of their pockets.
Right. Right. Which is why it's so important for you guys to be able to get back to work, because some of you still have the financial responsibility to pay your lease on your building, even though you're not collecting that rent. What about you, Stephanie? Wait, is Stephanie's mic muted? Can we unmute everyone, please? Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Stephanie.
So I was saying, my girls, we're not paying booth rent. They did not have to. I didn't require them to pay booth rent. However, I'm one of the ones whose landlord wants his money. He's not giving any breaks. He's already let me know there's no breaks. First of the month, that rent is due. He expects his rent. So I still hold financial responsibility for my salon. I pay my bills, even though my girls aren't. And it's fine. It's I signed up for it as an owner. It's my responsibility. But yeah, my owner is one of the ones that is like, no, ma'am, you need to pay this rent. He let me know if he's not a bank. I need to apply for some of these loans and grants because they're not going to give him anything. So,
wow.
Just to chime in real quick, you may want to look into this as business owners. If you're paying a lease, you may want to look into some laws that may have recently been passed to prevent a landlord from evicting anyone from the premises. And so if you need to, send a letter to your landlord, 10 business days prior to the end of the month or whenever the lease or the rent is due again, there may be something that can push that rent out, maybe a month or two. It may be due then, but it at least may give you time. So you may want to look into that to see if there were any laws passed in the state of California about that. I've heard something about it. I haven't looked into it myself, but that may help.
Yeah, I do believe there is something when the CARES Act was written. I believe there is something in the CARES Act for business owners, small business owners, as it pertains to leasing and not being so strict on the requirements as far as not paying and getting evicted. So the CARES Act definitely is a great place to start. Ray, what about you? As far as are you still required to pay booth rent, and how are you navigating that?
So for me, it is I'll I'm not required to pay booth rent, but my agreement was with my shop owner. So it is a tough time for them, and I wouldn't do it any other way. I'm still paying booth rent because even though, you know, the shop is closed, my commitment is to the whole shop. And if I could do my part to keep, you know, to take the load off of them by just paying my rent, you know, so be it. You know, I'm like I said, I have another job, and you know, it's about the business. You know, this is a 20-year relationship, so you know, I'm not going to turn my back on them, you know, and leave them hanging with the expenses, and you know, because some of these landlords, you know, they do want that cash, and they don't care about COVID-19. And so for me, you know, again, it's about me wanting to see Black businesses thrive. So if I can do my little itty bitty part by paying my booth rent, then that's what it is. So it's not, you know, I'm not dying. You know, I'm committed to the business.
And Nikisha, I would say this, like, he's looking at it as this is his business too, right? The shop owner is a business. So a lot of hairstylists, they want to be a boss, right? They want to be their own boss in their business. But when stuff like this happens, this is when you're a boss, right? You still like we still gotta communicate. We still have to pay our bills. And so you have a small business within our salon, which means you're still supposed to. Now, if we give you grace, that's one thing. But at the end of the day, it's not, you shouldn't expect it. And I did have, you know, other people in my other salons that just expected it. And I think that the way you're doing it, brother, I mean, that's right. You're a business owner. So I salute you for that.
Yeah.
And
that is amazing. And the blessing that you're in the position to be able, you know, to still pay your booth rent. So let's kind of go into now, you know, the petition that's out right now, because all of this basically boils down to, we need, as stylists and barbers, we need you all back to work because we feel you're essential. But obviously, this is you all's business, and this is, for some of you, the 100% of your income. And so, you know, that's why it's so important for you guys to get back to work. So I want to start with you, Stephanie, on this petition. Can we talk a little bit about the petition as far as getting stylists and barbers back to work, and what that would mean and how to do so safely?
I think as long as they're following sanitation rules, I get that everybody is still, you know, on the uproar about COVID, but it can be done. If we sanitize, if they're wearing the mask, you're wearing your mask, and you're doing one time at a time, I understand the difference is between that and going to pick up your food from somewhere. It's the same thing. So I'm with it. I'm going to get things back to work.
Yeah. So can you explain? So tell us, for everyone that's viewing in, as far as the petition is concerned, where can it be found? How can everybody sign it so we can all do our part in getting the voices heard and getting you guys back to work?
So I shared it on my page on Facebook. So you can find it. And we needed 3,000 signatures this morning. I think it was at 2587. So we're close. I guess the 3,000 signatures, they'll put it on the mayor's desk to see if we can get at least a soft opening where we can service one client at a time. And if there's one person in the salon, as long as they're 6 feet, the stylists are 6 feet apart. You know, maybe doing 3 clients a day would help us out a lot.
Sure. So what you're saying, and your contact information is scrolling on the bottom. So for all of you who are interested in signing this petition, please, you can see Stephanie's handle on Instagram is Exquisite You Beauty. But we need everyone to sign the petition because these barbers and stylists have to get back to work. They are essential. I know it's very subjective, but they are essential, and they have families and they have businesses. And again, this conversation is about small Black businesses and how we can support them. And so I just want to chime in really quick. Plachette Robertson had asked, is there an association for Black salon and barbershop owners? And I do not believe that there is an association for Black stylists. However, the Small Black Business Association of California, this is what they do. And this is why this conversation is happening tonight. So everyone who is a small business owner, whether you're thinking about it, whether you are right now, the information is scrolling on the bottom of your screen. Be sure to become a member. It is absolutely free. It's free 99, y'all, okay? So no excuse. Become a member because it will keep you updated on advocacy, things that are going on with the laws, things that are changing, and just the entire motion of this association advocating for small Black businesses, because that's what this is about, is supporting one another. So be sure, sign up for the membership. So I want to ask, is anybody, and if you're not comfortable answering, you don't have to, but is anybody still safely practicing right now? Maybe it's one client at a time, you know, one client a week. Is anybody still practicing or comfortable sharing that information if they are?
So what I'll say to that question is this: at the very bottom, the foundation of our license as a cosmetologist or barber is health and safety. Mm-hmm. And so I think that when people look at us, they think of it as an entertainment job, but right. Really, our job has oversight of the state to make sure that we protect the client. Mm-hmm. So I think if anyone on this panel is working underground or still working, we know how to not only protect ourselves because we have our family's health and safety in mind, but we also right. want to keep our clients alive as well. So when this thing passes, you know, we could get back to business. So I really hope the viewing audience doesn't forget that we're licensed because we met the minimum competencies that the state required for us to understand health and safety.
Excellent point. Excellent point, because a lot of people, I think, forget that a license is not just because you know how to press some hair really good or you know how to get the lineup just right. There's so much more that goes into barbering and being a stylist. So thank you for sharing that, Ray. Anybody else want to chime in on that? Or well, me, how? Mm-hmm.
Well, me personally, I protect myself to the fullest. I always wore gloves. I always sanitized my station, even before COVID-19. So if a person was to call me, I would cut their hair for them, and I would do one person at a time, go to them, or however it goes. But I would safely cut their hair for them.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, safety is the most important thing. And when we think about things that are essential, we all have to go to the grocery store. We're all still going to the pharmacy. We're still going to the ATM. So there are businesses that will have contact just because that's just the way that life is. And so I think, if everyone is able to sign the petition, so voices can be heard to get all of the stylists and barbers back to work, because it is a business that can be done safely if done right. And now I think COVID-19, a lot of us, including myself, took a lot of stuff for granted prior to this pandemic, as far as, sanitizing and washing hands and being aware. I think we all took a lot for granted, but I think now there will be so much more knowledge going forward that people won't even want to take that chance. So The name of the petition is One Client at a Time. That's the name of the petition. So we need everybody to please be sure, go on social media. You can Google it. You can go on social media, pull that petition up, and be sure to sign it, because you guys, we gotta get them back to work. We gotta. Yeah,
Nikisha, I would say this too.
On that, yeah.
I was gonna say it's kind of more easier for the barbers to, if they are doing it, it's easier to pack your little stuff up and go. But as far as, Stephanie and I, that's hairstylists, they said if they catch our business open, we would be issue a fine. So our business is actually closed, and it's kind of hard to bend people over the sink. So for Stephanie and I, we haven't worked since. Our business we're shut down. Right. So I wanted to answer that for both of us.
No, I appreciate that. No, and that's actually good, because I I wouldn't have even differentiated that, because I'm not in those shoes. So I appreciate you sharing that, Shari, because I didn't even think about that. And it is a lot, because there's more required to do our hair versus, cutting hair. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Thank you for sharing that. So with that being, Stephanie, did you have something?
Yeah, I was going to say, we've been fighting to get our industry open. They haven't been listening to us. It's just been since the other day where Caucasians, now it's hitting them and they're feeling the impact of this. And now everybody wants to listen now. Now they want to bring it to the media. Now it's time to get people back to work. But this has been affecting us a lot longer, and it's been hurting us longer. But now that they're on the hurting end of it, now it's a big deal. Now the people wants to, let's get this open back up now. And just feel like as us, as a people, we need to come together stronger. We need a guild. We need an association. We need to work together for our plight is heard at all times.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I think that's why these conversations are important. And what the Black Small Business of California Association is doing, I think is an important step to that, because we need a group who doesn't have other political agendas, right? We really need people fighting for us, not with other agendas, not trying to get votes on other things, but strictly just in tune with what is going on with our people and our small Black businesses. So again, the membership information is on the bottom. It's free 99, no cost at all. Everybody should become a member. So on that note, I guess we'll close it out just with last words. We'll kind of go around and anything that you just want to share to our viewers. Any last words? So we'll start off with you, Kevin.
Well, I just want to say I want everybody to be safe, financially, mentally, and spiritually. Believe in God through these hard times, and He's gonna make a way for you, no matter what. We in these positions because we tapped into God in us, and God will see us through all this.
Amen.
So you guys stay down and stay believing in yourself, and you will come out of this storm.
Amen. Amen to that. Thank you so much, Kevin. Okay, and Shari.
Hello?
Are you mute? Can you hear me? Okay.
I can't hear you, Nikisha.
You can't hear me?
Are you muted?
No, I shouldn't be. I can hear you.
Okay, I can't hear you, but I'm just going to talk. The last thing I want to say is, as far as the beauty industry, I'm glad that we have the Small Black Business Association. Stephanie and I has been working with Tavia and also Derek to put something together for the hairstylists and the barbers in Sacramento. And also for us to start thinking bigger, because what we don't want is something like this to happen again and we're not prepared. So we're really trying to talk about the financial side and also creating other streams of income, because if something like this happen again, we want to make sure that we are prepared and we have other sources of income coming in. So I want to thank you, Nikisha, and also the Small Black Business Association for putting this on. We need this.
Yes. Thank you so much, Shari. Next up, Stephanie. Any last words?
Yeah, I just want to say, just piggybacking off what Shar said, we've been working on something called the Beauty Ito, each one teach one. And we're trying to bring you guys information, and we're trying to just stay in touch and in tune with barbers and stylists here in Sacramento to have us grow as a community. We want to take our industry back,
yes.
The divide. So check us out, and get us back to work, one client at a time. It's more helpful than harmful, because what's going to happen next is you're going to just have anybody doing anything to your hair, and then it's going to be a whole nother issue. So I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for having me as a part of this. I want to thank the Black Business Association. This is amazing. This is what we need. And it's not about separation, but it's about growing us as a unit. So I'm glad something like this for us. I've always fought for us know, I've been in a lot of things, and like it's not about black or white. I get it, but it is. So
Yeah,
I'm
this is
appreciative.
yes.
I'm appreciative of it, and it's so needed. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Stephanie, for being a part. And Ray, any last words?
Yeah, quickly, I just want to tell all the viewers, business owners, man, keep God first, because at the end of it, money is nothing if if you don't have God. As
Yeah.
you see, He's taking everything. Things can be taken away, but they can't take God away from us. But I
Amen.
also would like to admonish Black businesses, please, let's get together so we can have a central hub where we can get the right information from the right people. And I believe that
Mm-hmm.
that's what the Black Small Business Association is trying to accomplish here. We tend to be segmented, and so you can go over here and get that, go over here, but we need a central location. I often study other communities, and they always have a central place where they can go, and that's why they're always 2 or 3 steps ahead of us. And as we
Mm-hmm.
saw with these funding streams that came down, a lot of other communities were 2 steps ahead of us. So again,
Right.
let's everybody, we're family, and
Yes.
we should want to see our Black businesses thrive. We should want to see our Black business owners successful. And I wanted to shout out to all my colleagues in the cosmetology field, Derek, Tavia, all of my family. You know who you are, Roger Dietrich, Kings and Queens, Rob over at Another Look. I just wanted, everybody keep your head up, because this is
Mm-hmm.
only temporary. We
Right.
started this thing, and this thing will continue. And thank
Right.
you. And I really am happy to be a fly on the wall with such esteemed people in this conversation. Miss Shari, Stephanie, you, Miss Nikisha, to all
Thank
the
you.
brother that own skills, to the lawyer and Miss Kay. I'm really happy that I was able to be a fly on the wall in this conversation. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ray. And Mr. Donald Williams, any last words?
Yes, just to piggyback off of what Raymond said, he's absolutely correct. You definitely want to create a hub so that you can get the necessary information. Also, Black businesses, we definitely need to start utilizing attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a business, you want to make sure that you're being compliant with all the state and federal laws. And so in order to do that, definitely spend the money to be preventative. You don't want to wait till you're being sued and have to
Mm-hmm.
pay tons of money in order to, change the way you're doing business. Or, really it's preventative, just to make sure that you have things in place to help you if and or when you get sued.
Yeah.
Definitely, come together. The BSBA is a great organization. Use them. Use all the information that they're going to
Mm-hmm.
be providing. If you need contact information for attorneys, they're there to do that. I'm available
Mm-hmm.
as well. That's pretty much it.
Thank you so much, Donald. So I just want to thank all of our cosmetologists, Shari and Stephanie Hunter Ray, Shari Wilson, and our barbers, Ray Kemp, Kevin McLean. Thank you all so much. Thank you to Pastor Kay Powell. And thank you so much, Donald Williams, for joining this conversation. There will be one conversation per week. You guys, please be sure to become a member of the Black Small Business Association. It's all about advocacy and fighting for the rights of our small Black businesses. So thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, please be safe out there, you guys. God bless you all and have a great evening.